Hello, I'm Michael Marcinet, President and founder of MRM EAM Consulting. I'm joined today by my colleague Jazz Sidhu, Senior Maximal Consultant. We're excited to introduce you to one of our MRM Essentials accelerators, purpose-built tools designed to simplify Maximal administration, increase productivity, and extend the value of your Maximal managed investment. Today, we're going to focus on our email listener OAuth refresh token solution. As many of you know, Maximal's email listener now supports OAuth authentication with email providers such as Office 365 and Google Gmail. Instead of passwords, OAuth uses tokens, but these tokens expire regularly, often 90 days, 180 days, or depending on your corporate IT policies. If tokens are not refreshed on time, the result is communication breakdown, failed integrations, loss of efficiency, and potential penalties from third parties relying on uninterrupted services. To solve this, we've developed two flexible approaches, which I'm now going to turn over to Jazz to take us through.
Thanks, Mike. The two different approaches we have for our token management is our escalation method and our button method. The escalation method is something that is very seamless. It will update all of your refresh tokens whenever the escalation runs. If you have your refresh token set to expire every 90 days, it can be configured that the escalation runs right before they expire on the 89th day. And it would then update all the refresh tokens, and you would have working email listeners, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it, and everything is kept all up to date all the time. The automation script that we've written, it does rely on the refresh token being valid when it's being updated. The very first time you set up your email listeners, you do need to make sure that you have a valid refresh token. After that, you never have to think about it again, as the escalation takes care of everything from there. The second method, the button method, very similar to the escalation and how it retrieves the new refresh token. You do need to make sure your current refresh token is valid. However, the key difference here is that it doesn't automatically update the tokens for you at a periodic interval. It's something that you have to remember to do. You have to go into the application and click a single button. It'll update the refresh token for you, and you're all good to go. The reason why we have two different methods is based off of real-world problems and feedback that we've gotten from our users. So we've seen that sometimes people want to make sure that they can see the value getting updated. They want to visually see and confirm just to make sure that nothing is wrong there. And additionally, they want to be able to go in and do it themselves. So they remember, yep, it's all good. And I can see that it's actually being updated.
Very important point, right? These are solutions that we have developed or deployed in customer environments. This is through either tickets that we get through our support mechanisms or projects that we're on. And these are the mechanisms through various conversations and trying now making it available for a broader community to leverage, right? So it's definitely a time saver and quick ROI. Jazz, can you maybe talk to us a little bit before customers had this? What was a typical scenario? Like day 90 comes up, or it's now a couple days past day 90 and we realize that the email listener is not consuming emails anymore. Can you walk us through that day in a life and what does that really mean?
Yeah, definitely. So prior to using this solution, our clients and also us, what we did is we had to go and manually get that refresh token. For those of you that have configured OAuth email listeners, you've likely leveraged an IBM document. So this IBM document talks about how you can get your refresh token, and this is the slimmed down version. If you're not using this, you do have to do a few additional steps. So I'm sure most of you that have configured it and are refreshing it every 90 days, 30 days, 180 days, whatever set to expire, what you have to do is come in and get a copy of this script that IBM has created, update the client ID, the client secret, and the tenant ID, run the script, go through a few additional steps, and then eventually go in and fill in your listener's email address and password in order to authenticate, accept the permissions, and it will write back the refresh token in a text file for you. You can then extract it and paste it into your environment, and you'd be all good to go for the next 30, 90, 180 days until you have to do it again. Additionally, if you have more than one email listener, you would have to do this again. You'd have to update your client ID, your client secret, and your tenant ID again, and go through this whole process and do it again. And then if you have more than one environment, you have to do it again for all your email listeners. So you can see how this can quickly get out of hand for something that is a repetitive task that you have to perform periodically.
And Jazz, just sorry to interrupt, we have a client that has 3 environments, and in each environment, they have 3 email listeners. For their production, their development, and their test, all have email listeners configured. configured in 3 emails that are all active in each environment. So that person essentially has to go, and they have a 90-day refresh. So around day 80, 85, I believe he has an escalation that reminds him to do this, right? But got to log in and make that change and go through this process. So day 85 comes up, he has to remember. Good thing is in his email communication, he includes the link to the website and everything and the little document that he's created, but he's got to go through this step multiple times. So in his world, it's 9 times, 10 minutes each. That's a lot of time. It's an hour and a half every 90 days that he's got to go through this process, right? Very tedious process. It's about saving time and having those administrators focus on other issues rather than something as simple as this.
And just to wrap back around to your other question, the other part of your question, which was what happens on day 91, day 92, what happens in that case? Like Mike was saying, this escalation was set to run every 85 days, right before the email listener expires, just a few days before. But what happens when this administrator wants to go on vacation, wants to go to somewhere across the world for 2 weeks, and they leave before this email comes out to them? They would get that email, but of course they're not going to see it right away. A couple of days would pass. End users would start to say, why aren't my emails getting consumed? And you would have those issues come up. You would have failed communications and Maximo was no longer consuming your emails. You would then get some tickets that open up, and eventually you'd look into it and realize the communication breakdown is because your refresh token is invalid. Now, of course, this is not something that happens every 90 days. A lot of the times you would be able to remember, you have your reminders, but you can never be too cautious and make sure that everything is always going to be up and running and you have as close to 100% uptime as possible. Back then, you had things like this coming up. Now with this solution, you have 2 different ways of dealing with it. The first way was the escalation method. You don't even have to worry about it. If you want to go on an extended vacation when your email listeners are expiring, no problem. The second method, the button method, it now is a lot easier to make sure everything's updated, and you could get anyone to fill in for you and they can do it in just a minute. Just click a few buttons, all the email listeners are updated, and you're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in and show you guys an example of how we would go and update our email listeners. So I will switch to our email listener that we have configured for our support tickets that come in. You just have to click 3 buttons to update the refresh token. One is you would have to deactivate it, update it, and then activate it again. What happens if you don't remember to deactivate it? You can click this and you'll notice you'll get a prompt. It'll tell you exactly what you need to do. Email listeners must be deactivated. Sure thing. We'll go ahead and deactivate it. We'll take a quick note of the last couple of digits of our refresh token, 7ZZ0. When I update this, it'll let you know that it has been updated. We can go ahead and verify that it really was updated. You can see the last 4 digits are now different. From here, I would go ahead and activate the email listener. And just like I said, 3 clicks and you're all done.
So Jazz, what's happening behind that push button, right? You clicked on it. We saw the token get updated when obviously the email listener is deactivated. What's behind that?
Good question. So one of the things that I really want to highlight is the security that's behind this. We don't use any email passwords in order to get the new refresh token. We want to make sure that passwords are not being sent through the internet. And so we know that all your information is secure. All the data gets moved using HTTPS, which is HTTP secure. And so what happens is we're using the information that we have directly available on this screen, including the refresh token itself, which is why it needs to be valid before when we're updating it. And we do not use our email password. We do not even use the email address as well. It's only using this refresh token and other information that's directly available within Maximo. The automation script itself does not store the password. It does not store your email. You can be sure that everything is left secure.
So automation script, a small modification to the application, email listener application for that push button, no credentials, passwords sent in the clear or saved in the clear in the automation script. Everything that is in the confines of Maximo and applications from a configuration, very easy to deploy and totally secure. And that's, again, something that we look to strive to make sure that the solutions that we're building adhere to Maximo best practices and adhere to IT security policies as well. So Jazz, what are some of the other things that probably no need from an escalation, but escalation we know uses a COM template. I think the query is slightly different. And in the COM template, you would basically outline the message that you want to communicate to the users. And you typically want to set that, 5 days ahead, 10 days ahead?
Yeah, so just to talk about the escalation method, by default, actually, there is no COM template that we're setting, but we have created just in our environment just to give us a reminder to let us know that everything's been updated. This can be migrated over if you would like to include that within your package as well. If you want a reminder just to let you know everything is updated so you don't completely forget about your email listeners, the escalation essentially just lets you know that it's been updated, you're all good to go. And what we've set it up as is a few days before it expires. So ours are set to expire every 90 days, and a number of our clients that we've worked with are set to either expire 90 days or 180 days. And just a few days before it expires, it'll go kick off, update everything, and you're all good to go. In our case, we've just set it to go off every 85 days, so just 5 days beforehand, and everything works. You don't need to do it exactly on the 90th day. In fact, I would urge you to do it a few days beforehand as well, just to ensure that that token is valid when the escalation runs.
All right. That's fantastic, Jazz, and much appreciated. And again, for the clients that we have implemented this, the feedback has been very positive on this, and for, at least from a time-saving perspective. So this wraps up our MRM EAM Essentials email listener OAuth token refresh. In summary, the email token refresh solution prevents unexpected email failures, keeps your Maximo environment secure and compliant, ensures continuous connectivity. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for additional videos highlighting other accelerators included in the MRM Essentials product offering. Check out our other videos. Thank you for watching and listening.